Sorry, I was gonna say keep an eye on the chat this time.
I know I was gonna apologize for that. I was controlling eight
No, no,
niggas
that's
last
all
night.
good. No, in case people are interested, that's a good thing.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the stream tonight. We're doing a off day stream, but there's some important stuff that's going on in the world, and we want to have some serious conversations. We are Rotation TV. We are the Helas, original Helas. And we're here to just kind of talk, educate. If you're here and you're hearing this, please communicate in the chat, talk, express yourselves. I'm going to be focused on the chat. These gentlemen are going to handle this. So without further ado, I'd like to say what's up to my brother Nico. I'd like to say what's up to my brother Frank. And we're going to go ahead and do the thing here and get this started. Gentlemen, how's your evening beyond everything else that's going on in the world?
I'm good, man. It's just been a long week. I've been obsessing a little bit over the news, haven't been getting quite a lot of sleep. And today we were supposed to go on live at 10. I don't know, I just put my head on the pillow and kind of killed me. Then we rushed a little bit, so I'm super glad we're still on. I can't wait to talk to Frank and yourself about this. This is an issue that I'm extremely passionate about. So yeah, man, Frank, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good, man. Just kind of pay attention to everything that's going on in the world and seeing, forming opinions just like everybody else, from maybe a different point of view. But other than that, man, I'm pretty good. I can't complain.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Yeah. So, Nico,
Yes,
my
sir.
man. So, give me your thoughts about everything. Your initial, straight to the gut thoughts on what's going on.
So it's funny, and I don't think people realize how big of geopolitical this situation is, right? And I am Greek background, and people don't know this, but the Greek-Ukrainian relationships are probably at an all-time low for the fact that, you know, Greece has their own issues with Ukraine. I mean, their own issues with Turkey. Ukraine and Turkey are very well allied. So there's been this kind of pushback from Greece about Ukrainians as a country. The truth is, though, I'm very proud of my country too because we have sent four C-130s in there, right, with military equipment and from the Greek army. So we're doing our thing. But when I first saw this, I gotta tell you, man, I never thought that Russia would do something like that. I never. It's one good to posture, but to execute something like that, it was just unheard of for me. So I'm in shock. I hate that something like that is happening in Europe, in the heart of Europe. Kiev has one of the most beautiful freedom squares, right? And I felt like this was, left in the 1800s, right? I mean in the 1980s, sorry. I felt like I'm kind of speechless that this is still allowed to happen in a country in Europe.
Do you think that the, I don't want to necessarily call it a theory, but the idea of Putin trying to rebuild, as it's put, the Russian Empire. Do you think that's valid?
Yeah, I do actually. Like, I think that's what this is all about. But you know what? That's a good question, and I do want your opinion on this, right? So, for years, we've looked at Putin, and I'm not gonna lie at all. I thought he was a strong leader, right? I thought he was a tough leader. I thought he was, at times I even took his side because I was like, hey man, maybe we're pushing too much on that side. He just cares about his country. Sometimes are my ignorant views in politics. He's very authoritarian. I was kind of like, we don't need to put up with shit. So I semi had a. I don't want to use the word love, but I didn't hate Putin as much as everybody else, right? I just want to be
I
honest
think
there. Like,
I think people like you and I, we can appreciate a strong leader. And I think that
sure.
was the allure of Putin, was that he was that strong leader. You know,
You know
that
what? Yes.
he's a strong leader. Doesn't mean good, bad, and different. Of course, my opinions changed a little bit because of everything that's happened. But we're talking in previous past tense. It was like, okay, well, there's a guy who doesn't take shit. Here's a guy who might actually throw a blow at a meeting. You know what I mean? If things go really
Yeah.
south, and it's like that is respectable to a certain extent, but it also a gentleman who can carry himself very dignifiedly, as we saw him. I think recently, though, I don't know if it's because he's the Russian shark that smells blood in the water, and he's kind of like, this is my chance, or what's happened recently where it seems like he's kind of been like, fuck it, I'm going all in.
So I have a theory. I just and honestly, when it comes to this, I'm not sure, right? Like I feel like every theory could be valid. One, I don't think he respects the current administration, whether
I
you
agree.
like the previous administration, this administration, or the one before that. He just doesn't care. And another thing, he's older, right?
Yeah,
When
he's
the
about to be
war was launched,
70, I believe.
70 years old. But what I thought, where I lost respect and I realized that he's not cognizant to what he says, and this is what scared me the most was when he announced the military operation, right? He was ranting completely out of his character of being very strong. He looked like I hate saying this, but he looked like a little girl who somebody just stole their lollipop. Like he was just very like, the
Oh, like he's
things he
throwing
was
a
saying
temper tantrum.
about stuff that is irrelevant, like really stupid, that Ukraine is not even a real country and blah blah blah. So to be fair, I don't think anybody watched that video and I mean watched that address, sorry, and went like, "Oh, I understand why he's in Ukraine." What I understood from that was, I don't think this guy thinks Ukraine needs to exist. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's kind of what it
So,
seemed like.
so right? That's what I felt. And then what freaked me out even more that I thought was ridiculous, it was the fact that, and a lot of people repeating this, that that's too close to the borders of Russia, for Ukraine to become a NATO member, right? That's
Mm.
the
That's
rationale.
the
Why?
that's the running toll. Yeah.
Well, to me, that's probably one of the biggest idiocies I've ever heard in my entire life, because Latvia, Lithuania is there. And and then if he takes, which I don't think he'll ever will, but if he takes Ukraine, then he's right next to Poland. So
So
Ukraine
I
doesn't serve the
disagree with you
purpose.
there,
Sure.
and I don't like my opinion on this. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I
Yeah.
think that if things continue, I do think that Ukraine eventually falls. Um,
What do you
that's if
consider fall
that's
though?
Russian control.
Okay, well, I don't
This
understand
is
that,
why.
and
This is
and
why.
I'm
This
not
is why.
being,
Let
yeah.
me kind of. There's an asterisk by that, right?
Okay.
If Ukraine doesn't get the help they need,
Yeah.
right? They can't. I don't think they'll be able to hold out. Basically,
I don't.
so
Okay, but yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
the war with this war, this attempted invasion of Ukraine is going to be, in my opinion, a war of attrition, right? Can
I agree with that. We're totally in agreement now.
So I think it's a war of attrition. Can these guys in Ukraine, these fucking badasses, not just the people that we know of, the
Yeah.
Lomachenko, the
Let's go, brothers.
yeah, Klitschko. Thank you. I couldn't fucking brain went out. The Klitschko brothers, Olesk, they're all over there fighting for their country. And I'm not talking about those big name guys. I'm talking about Jim and Bob who live down the street who cut lawns for a living. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Are they going to be able to hold out during this whole process? Because let's be real on two sides of it, looking at this from a logistical standpoint and a tactical standpoint, right? Russia, yes, they have the bigger, larger military, but their logistics are absolutely dog shit. And
I agree.
that's one of the reasons why they weren't able to blitzkrieg right through Ukraine the way that they thought, the way that they might have thought. Um, one of
So
the go ahead.
no, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish the thought.
So with that being said, it's like if we can hold out, in my humble opinion, if the Ukrainians start fighting a guerrilla war, they'll be able to hold out and they'll break the spirit and then they'll end up winning out.
Can I take a
So
quick
there
pause?
yeah.
Yeah,
Want to say what's up to Gulag Gang. I want to say what's up to Tap Out Beast. They showed up to say what's up. We actually have Gulag saying, I don't see how we don't get involved. We don't. We would basically be giving China a green light to take Taiwan, which is exactly what Frank said last night. Frank nailed that point last night.
yeah. Yeah, it's a sketchy situation. It's very very reminiscent of World War II, the way Hitler and Mussolini were pushing each other little by little to take land and land and land, and then eventually
So
went
I want
to
to
Poland. But
Yeah, I want to stay on the subject we were talking to because I think you
yeah,
made some
yeah,
really good points, and I think we just have a different outlook. But I think we agree 100%. But here's my issue. History has shown, and I hate being cliche, but history has shown that fighting for freedom it's a little different than fighting for somebody, right?
100%,
So
100%.
so I want to go clear. I don't know if Ukraine is going to keep all their land at the beginning, push them all out. What I do know is that they've sustained ridiculous bombing, indiscriminate bombing at schools,
Yep.
hospitals, and stuff like that. And their president is still working, and they're trying really hard to hold off. Now, you said something really good, and something I studied a little bit before I was able to formulate this opinion, right? So, the war of attrition it's a slow, methodical elimination type of war, right?
Yep.
So for you to do that on a population of it was 44 million. Now it's going to be 43 because we know so far a million has left, right? So let's just say
So
one
far,
more,
yeah.
say 40, let's say about 42 million people. That means you have to have, according to the top U.S. generals, and not the ones we have now, right? Generals like Petraeus or Frank, people, General Frank, people who've seen combat. To do that, you need a 5-1 to hold down major cities. They will not be able to do that. There's nothing that, even if there's not a building left, they will never be able to do that. There was a way he could probably do that if he didn't bomb kids, killed women, and did all this. There's nobody in Ukraine right now who's like, all right, let's end this war because people are dying. There's people in Ukraine by the day who are becoming fanaticized, right?
Yeah.
This reminds me of there are people who are just like, I will sit in my car and I will wait till my chance to drop 15 to 20 Molotov cocktails. So I don't understand. Personally, I don't know what to say when it comes to like, will Ukraine hold? I don't know what that means. And I'll give
Yeah.
you an
No,
example.
and
You, you
that's
and
a
I are
fair.
Greek, right? You and
Yeah.
I are Greek. We were under Ottoman Empire for 400 years. And guess
Mhm.
what? Since 1821, continues to grow. Last year, Greece grew its nautical miles on the Ionian Sea, and we were actually a bigger country. I'm not saying I'm not saying they will be like us for 400 years because the armies are different, right? Completely different worlds. But what I'm saying is there is no chance in hell Russia commits 10 million troops because they don't have it or the money to sustain something like that. So yes, Kherson left. I mean, Kherson fell. Maybe Mariupol is next. They've been shelling that city for 37 hours straight, by the way. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like that's where I start having a conversation where I'm like, I keep it honest. I'm like, I don't understand what that means. I don't think Russia will ever have control over Ukraine, whether or not cities have fallen.
So real quick, I want to address the chat.
Yep,
Gulag asked, "What kind of freedom we talking about? The actual America's type of freedom or actual freedom?" But he made a bigger point, which is Russia's really only thrown about 10% of their military power in this. Before you cut in
that's
Discord,
not true. That's not true.
well,
That's a ridiculous. That's not true though.
okay, you can get me facts in a second. The bigger question
Yeah,
is that, and Frank and I were discussing it, but right before you jumped in, you're seeing the 16 and the 17-year-olds trying to take Ukraine. The specialists, the actual real military, is more there in the capital trying to protect Putin. He hasn't sent out the elite
that's not
soldiers.
true either. No, that's not. There's facts with this. That's not true at all.
Okay,
Eight out
so
of the
tell
ten
me, what
battalions of
video
the
have you
Russian army
seen?
is already in Ukraine. Like the only thing that he has not used in an excessive manner is his air force, and I don't understand why either. But he doesn't need to. They're across the border. They're firing shorties from Belarus. But let me clarify one thing, because I think
Spetsnaz is
Drew?
not in full force in Ukraine yet.
that is
Yeah.
not true either. Spetsnaz themselves have actually a YouTube channel, and they've been on social media all day
Not in
long
full
posting
force.
stuff
I'm not
about.
saying that there's no
But what is their?
Spetsnaz.
Hold on. But what is their full force? They're 10,000
3,000.
deep. Okay,
3,000.
so they have so what they have 500. That's 30% of their force. Let me tell you one thing, and
I don't even think it's
this is
that
where
many though,
things.
bro.
But this is the
That's
thing with
3,000.
people starting to go off the rails with conspiracy theories, and I'm okay with that. We know, we know the Russian military. It's not a freaking secret. They have over seven. They had 200,000, close to 200,000 soldiers on the border. 190, if you want to call that, and almost 90% of that has already crossed into Ukraine. The total military in Russia is, I think, 1 million, if I'm not mistaken. If you include reservists and stuff like that, somewhere around there, right? You can. This is where things people start making things up because they like to live in the notion that they're such a superpower. They're not. They're showing you that they're shit. When a military has an ability to do what they need to do, they don't indiscriminately start bombing people and saying we're gonna level cities just to scare people into submission. That is not what power does. People are stuck in the USSR fear days, right? That's fine, but that's not the same. That's not the same Russia. You're talking about not committing their forces. They have all the tanks that you see. They're not the old tanks, right? They're not. There's some old, but they're not the old tanks.
Yeah.
They're running around with the was it the Su-35s, the new ones. People don't read. Their newest 5.5 generation aircraft is using generation 3 engines because they're not able to make new engines for that plane. So that's why they don't have a lot of them. Their military is not what people think it is, and it's full blown showcase.
Well, I
And
want to give you a
also, I
fact real
feel
quick. Spetsnaz is 17,000.
17,000. Yeah,
okay,
I was wrong.
sure.
So you're saying that there's
How,
17,000 Spetsnaz snoops that have gone in? Because Spetsnaz is a
no,
different
but what is?
situation. There's a difference between
They're
sending
not a different
Marines to sending
situation.
Force
They're just
Recon to
they're just
sending
Navy
in
SEALs.
operators.
Yeah, but saying just Navy SEALs, that's a whole. And respectfully, Nico, I disagree. That's
Yeah, sure.
so saying just Navy SEALs, you're talking about the tip of the spear. Like I know
Yeah.
that's super cliche because everybody says it, but you're talking about the absolute
Okay,
tip of the spear.
I'll
I
take
was making
12 SEALs over a
no,
hundred
time out,
over 100 regular
Just to
soldiers.
clarify, I was making the point not that they're equal or diminishing the Navy SEAls. I fucking love the
No,
SEAls.
no,
I
no. We're
was
not
saying
saying
that
you were.
No,
they're a
but
special ops unit, right? They're a special ops unit.
They're the
You
special ops
cannot
unit.
take you cannot take 17,000 men and conquer a country of 44 million people. The arithmetic just doesn't make sense.
Running
I don't
guerrilla
even
no,
know
warfare?
who created some of it.
but you could take sections though. You're not going to be able to take the whole country, but you could
Strategic.
definitely take sections.
So what's a strategic section you would take?
The eastern part, like
But
they could.
they already had the
I'm
eastern
I'm
part.
just using that as an example though. Like if they
See,
wanted, like
this
we're
is
looking at. Go ahead.
no, this is where it bothers me because we're romanticizing, right? So there is nothing that this unit has actually physically done in the last few wars that you're like, yo, hold up.
No, but hold
But
on, hold on. I'm going to interrupt you
Yeah.
because that was my point that I was making earlier. You disagreed with me.
sure, you
That
talked.
was the.
Your point earlier was that they're not as battle tested, right?
They're not.
But sure, but they've had their wars. Syria was their first time in a while that they have leveled. I mean, leveled a country, and then before that, the Chechens, right? But my
Dude, they
point
annexed
here is,
Crimea.
yeah, but I mean, how much
That
fighting
wasn't
was
so
there, right?
much. Yeah, there wasn't
There
so
was
much of
no
a
fighting
war
there.
then.
Yeah, I
The
agree with that.
annexation.
The annexation,
Yeah, that was like, hey, this is mine now. You're gonna have to deal
exactly. It
with
was
it.
just like, hey, they put a fake vote in, and supposedly people voted that they wanted to be Russian, and that's it. That was it. There was no
Yeah,
war.
they used Dominion voting
But
machines.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, Gulag made a good
I
point.
love
He
that.
said, "What about the troops that Russia has in Belarus?" and their
They're
ability to
already
come from
crossed
the
in.
north to south.
They already crossed into.
Yeah, they
Yes,
crossed
they
in
already crossed
the day
in.
before yesterday. They already what the day before yesterday, right?
Wait. Are you talking about Belarusian troops or Russian troops in Belarus?
Gulag, you're talking about Russian troops in Belarus, or you're talking about Belarusian soldiers? We'll see what
So
he says.
Belarusian
Keep going.
soldiers, remember one thing. Belarus is under dictatorship too. So I am not worried about their army, to be fair. But the Russian soldiers that were in Belarus were the original ones that actually crossed into Ukraine and now are outside Kiev.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So again, so here's my thing. They're not a superpower. They're broke as fuck. They're one of the worst countries, period. Non-negotiable. Their people live like shit with the exam with the and my words are messed up. The exemption is only the oligarchs, right? Everybody else in Russia lives like shit. You can't be proud of living like shit. And you know, I get very I don't get I get worked out because we romanticizing this superpower that does not exist. Their military is antiquated. They're old. We're seeing the stuff that they use. You saw I don't know if you guys saw the videos. TikTok has been insane because a lot of people use it in social media, but you know, Ukrainian soldiers have been capturing these vehicles. Nothing special, right? I don't buy into the whole like they have a whole army of capture stuff, but they capture these vehicles and their food, the ration food that the Russian soldiers have, they're from 2015. They're expired. You know what I'm saying? They're not a superpower, and that's what bothers me. The romanticizing of Mother Russia and the Big Bear. We're looking at it. It's garbage. I could legitimately. I've been very into the military stuff lately, only because my country was in constant threat of Turkey, right? And I'll tell you one thing: Turkey has a phenomenal army. But watching Greece's army, I'm like, holy shit. So, are the Russians like the Americans? That's not. I think that's a joke. I don't. I don't. I think it's a blasphemy to mention in the same thing. Are they better than the Brits? No. Are they better than the French? No. I mean, they're better than the Germans because the Germans have they make weapons. They don't have an army, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like, what is it that you've seen in TV that you like? Damn, like I wouldn't fuck with that guy. All I see is cities burned to the ground because there's no, you know, THAAD missiles or Patriot missiles or an Iron Dome or even a legitimate air force to stop these attacks. You start putting on F-35s, F-16s, F-15s, all those things into the mix. They don't exist. They have a convoy of 47 miles. Yeah, tell that to the A-10 pilot. He would have a field day.
Yes, the issue there though is that Ukraine doesn't have an A-10.
Oh yeah, but I don't think I think you and I
Like,
agree on that. Like I'm not telling you that they're going to be I don't know. I am 50-50. I don't know if Ukraine is going to keep the Russians out of every city. I think for the Russians, it's better to be kept out of the city because you don't want to be shot at from 14 million apartments in Kiev. I've been to Kiev. It's not like it's a huge metropolis with private homes. They're building sky rises. What are you gonna do
yeah,
at that point when your own soldiers are in the streets? You can't bomb that anymore. I mean, unless the guy's a lunatic, maybe he'll do it. Maybe he'll kill his own people. But it's going to be a nightmare. And for a war of attrition, it's a 5-1. The U.S. tried to do a war of attrition,
right.
not indiscriminately like that. But even then, they were like, "All right, man, we're gonna have to send 100,000 more troops to Iraq." And when they did, things came down. But this is a completely different world. People always say Iraq, right? The U.S. lost almost, I want to say, 4,500 troops in Iraq, right? Over, I don't know, was it 10 years, maybe a little bit
20,
more? No, 20 is Afghanistan.
20. We were in Iraq just about as long. Like it's a 3-year
All right.
difference.
Yeah, so 17 years, whatever. Yeah, you know what we mean, right? Like maybe we're
Yeah,
not exactly accurate, but but you know, we lost the soldiers and it was sad. But at the same time, remember that was a different type of war because people legitimately were like, yeah, well, we don't like the Americans, fuck them, but it's better than Saddam Hussein for now. And if it wasn't for US's complete inability of making right decisions, we probably wouldn't even lost soldiers. We lost them afterwards, you know. But I don't want to go down that path. What I'm trying to say is that I just don't see a winning strategy here for Russia. Will they capture more land? Maybe. I don't doubt it.
Think
I
Russia's
don't think they'll
winning
ever take Kiev though.
strategy. I think Russia's winning strategy is more or less the same strategy they had in World War II. You send one guy out with a gun, one guy out with an extra magazine, and when the guy with the gun gets shot, the guy with the extra magazine picks it up.
Yep.
That's how they win. I agree with
Hey,
you
but
with
to be fair though, to be fair, see, this is where my patriotism comes in. Russia would have gone walloped in the Second World War if it wasn't for the winter. And the only reason Hitler had to take that huge detour into going directly into Russia was because the Greeks were held them out a lot longer. There's a reason why Churchill, Stalin, all those leaders said that Greeks fight like heroes, right? All the leaders at that time praised the Greek army because we ran out of bullets. You're talking about a difficult army. We didn't even have bullets in Greece. We didn't have an army. We didn't have an air force. We had two boats, I think. That was in World War II, and we still held one of the largest powers, military powers of all time, right? Because that Germany squad, that was a good squad. You know what I mean? They were top notch. So
real
again,
quick. Speaking about bullets, Federal Ammunition and Remington both announced they're sending 1 million rounds each to Ukraine.
I love it. Good, good.
So
I'm
that
just
just
saying
came
that
across my
that's
Twitter
huge.
feed, and I just want to throw that
I
out
love
there.
that.
I
That
think
is
I
huge.
think offering aid to the Ukrainians is excellent, and I think it's like one of those things where you need bullets. We're America. We got you with bullets, right? You
Yeah.
need jets. Sure, here you go, right?
No, we didn't give
Um,
him the Jets.
no, I'm just saying, like that's what we need to do. That's what I'm saying. Let's help them
Well,
because there's nothing more that I like than, and this is me personally. I don't. It's hard for me to respect a people who won't fight for themselves, and the Ukrainians are
right, of
most
course.
definitely fighting for themselves.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
You know what I
heroes,
mean?
bro.
They're getting they, and I've said this over and over again to different people, but they they're Buster Douglas to what was supposedly a Mike Tyson,
Yeah, that's a very
right?
good analogy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Gulag. Tula ammo is not going to be readily available anymore. He said, "R.I.P. the
So
awesome Russian ammo that I love." But I don't know. Like I understand where you're coming from, and you're coming from a personal aspect, and you're trying to separate the personal from it to look at it from a non-personal point of view,
I
right?
like looking at history, right? That's my thing. I don't think I'm taking it personal. I'm just looking at history and I'm looking at an inability of an army to execute. And now you're telling me I'm supposed to be like, well, we should not close the airspace because God forbid the Russians get mad. And I'm like, what the fuck they gonna do? Just like that. I don't
Yeah.
want to be disrespectful. What the
No,
fuck are they gonna do?
I think the airspace should be closed. It's kind of like I don't know if this ever happened to you, but you ever like at high school or something, two kids were gonna fight and everybody encircled them to make sure nobody else jumped in.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
That's kind of what should happen, right? Close off the airspace. Nobody else is getting involved as far as on either side kind of deal. We'll patch you up if you need to be patched up. I don't know, bro. Like this is such an odd situation to look at because this whole situation could go one of 8 different ways from the way I'm looking at it, right? To
Yeah.
the point where Russia controls, we'll say 50% plus of the country is one
Okay.
way. Second way is that the Ukrainians hold their ground, and like you said, they're just taking pop shots at these motherfuckers from apartment buildings, which I think is going to end up happening eventually. You're just going to have a bunch of dudes in Ukraine who go hunting all the time. They're going to be sitting there with a 30-30 out of a window and just picking them off, right? That's going to happen in one of these situations.
Okay.
Russia ends up pulling in another country to help, and there's only a
They've done
handful
that,
that,
right?
huh?
They've done that. They've done it with
I'm not.
Chechens and
Yeah, but I'm not really. Those. I'm not talking about Russia light. I'm talking about a whole other force.
okay.
right? That's one option. Two is another fourth option I'm on now is another country, a major country, goes in with boots on the ground and reinforces the Ukrainians, right? Whether that is let me rephrase that. Whether it's another country or NATO forces themselves go in.
I don't. From watching what I've seen, right, and one thing that I'm privileged to is that I have Greek news, European news that I watch, stuff
Yeah, me
like
too.
that, right? Like, so I'm not very American news based, but there is no reason this should end pretty quickly. This should be the NATO, or I don't even care about NATO. This should be U.S. going in right now with 15, 20 A-10s, no boots on the ground, wiping out that convoy, wiping out the Russians, and then be like, hey, go figure it out. My thing is, what's the retaliation? What do you?
That's what
There's
I was going
no.
to ask you. What do you think the retaliation was going to be? Because Putin might not hit the nuclear option. Let's say he
He
doesn't.
wouldn't. He won't. He won't.
That
He's a
doesn't mean
coward.
that doesn't mean that he doesn't have ICBMs.
That doesn't mean that
So
they
what?
don't. I mean, yo, they literally are sitting on the largest nuclear reactor in Europe right now.
Yeah, what happens if we hit that convoy, that 40-mile convoy with an A-10, and they just drop a non-nuclear thermo bomb on that nuclear reactor?
But they dropped a non-thermal bomb into people. So, but my thing is, they do the thermobaric weapons. They already used them. My point is, okay, fine. Both of you are correct, right?
Mhm.
What does that mean? That means you cower. That means
No,
you
I
let things
think
happen.
I think
That's like
no,
saying hey guys, let's not hit up Hitler because we don't kind of know what kind of weapons he has. No, that's unacceptable to me. We're talking about a European soil countryman. You can't just be like, yo, what if they wall out? Then you wall out back. The one thing that I'm confident in, and I've been
that's how
joking
you
with this,
wipe out that. Yeah, but that's how you wipe out everybody.
but you don't need to. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's a fear that's not accurate. It's a fear that the Russians are trying to instill because they know they're not capable of winning a war. If they were capable of winning a war, they wouldn't need to ban Twitter and Facebook so their people can't see what's happening in the countries. They wouldn't arrest older ladies. They wouldn't close four or five
Real quick, I'm gonna
stations.
interrupt you. Zelensky
Yeah.
in his address tonight has accused NATO of weakness and disunity.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
But to be
Quote,
fair,
starting from today, everyone who dies will die because of you, end quote, to NATO.
okay,
And
okay.
and
But
I want to
after
address the
that,
chat.
hold on.
Oh, can
No,
I
don't
address the
address
chat
that.
real
Say
quick?
the full quote. Say the full quote though, because
That's all
it's
that's all
important.
it showed me. Sorry.
Okay, after that, he said, I also want to say, right after that, and you could bring up the video. He says, I also want to thank our NATO friends for everything that they've done for us and all the weapons they supplied to us. We don't feel alone. We know we have love. So he was lashing out because they made the decision for the no-fly zone, but then he caught himself and he was like, "Look, I understand, but people are dying," and he's absolutely right, by the way. I
Okay,
just want to
so
make sure that because the full quote puts it in context.
I got
okay,
you.
but
No,
okay,
I was just reading what was said, what I saw here.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
even let's look at it this way. Just look, politician. He makes the threat and now he's backtracking it. But because in the chat we've got and Gulag's really involved right now. I asked him if he wants to jump on. Russia still has friends. Putin's already
Who's
said what
her
he's going to
friend?
do, which is in reference to your conversation. What was mentioned in the chat was Belarus and Iran. Basically, the people that hate us are okay with him. But the bigger question is that, well, first
Yeah,
the
do people
statement that he
even
said.
read anymore? You just said Iran. Iran came out yesterday and said this is
I'm
the
telling
most
you what the
satanic.
chat says. Hold on, fam. Don't get
Oh,
offended.
okay.
And no, we all feel the same way about this being fucked up. I'm just
But
addressing
remember,
people who
if
showed up.
somebody's watching right now, and you say things like, "Oh, Iran and stuff," they might believe you. But Iran itself yesterday said that this is the most satanical. That's their direct quote: "Satanical war, and Russia needs to stop immediately."
Okay, so
That's
hypothetical.
yeah.
The worst case scenario, WW3
Okay.
pops off. Iran is siding with us. Iraq is siding with us.
No. But why doesn't World War III need to pop off?
Because I hate to say it, it really feels like as this escalates, eventually boots are going to have to hit the ground and other countries are going to have to get involved.
Fine, but
If-
who's the
if
other
Europe
country that will
goes-
help Russia?
Frank, if Europe jumps into this, and I'm talking about the major European countries, the major NATO countries, at some point,
NATO.
is America going to join that party?
100%.
Now, America now, yeah, because we're not isolationists anymore like we used to be.
You know,
So
I think
100%, yes.
and that's
Facts.
more the
That's
point
a
than
good
anything else. You know, to say that he wouldn't he wouldn't go nuclear and push the button. You're assuming that he is not megalomaniacal or that he isn't that fucking crazy.
No, I'm not assuming. I'm letting him tell me that, right? You can't tell me you're gonna go drop a nuclear bomb when you're scared to sit across a fucking world leader because of COVID that you already had. And he's gonna sit there and get annihilating people, man. My thing is,
Real quick, just to address Gulag, I don't think China needs that much motivation to help them. I think China is just waiting for their opportunity. That's they're just sitting back and just kind of watching.
Well,
yeah.
This is China right now.
Also facts, right, about China, and I agree. I agree with that quite a lot. But they've been very reservist, and their two banks divested all their Russian assets, right? Smart move. I don't know. I don't want to look super into it, but that's another one that I'm not really super scared of, right? Like you talk, China is a fantastic country. Their middle class is getting up there faster than anywhere else. They're doing their own thing. Super props to them, right? But also their economy, they're very smart. This is one thing I want to mention about China. They're smart. You remove Chinese products from a World War III, right? If we're talking about World War III, and I hate going into that because this will never turn into that. But if you turn into World War III, you're talking about China can't survive without selling its products to the U.S. and Europe. They're smart.
Yeah, they can.
Now,
Yeah, they can.
how?
And bigger than that, bro,
How?
you're underestimating the type of war that China can fight.
Am I?
China's gonna fight
What
a
do
different
they
type
have?
of war.
Like what kind of war?
Where you're going disinformation, hacking, they're gonna fight.
Wait a second. I'm gonna make this super simple, right? And this is kind of along the way that Vic is going, but a different aspect. How many steel mills do we have running in our country right now?
Not enough.
Okay, so if we go to war, if it pops off tomorrow, hypothetically, right, and we need steel to buy or to build machinery, it's going to take us 6 to 10 months to get our steel mills up and running properly. Whereas, because all the steel that we get right now is from China.
Canada.
Canada doesn't have that many either, though. It's not like that's the thing you have to look at, right? Warfare is fought on a different level. It's not total war the same way it was in World War One or World War Two.
Always logistics, infrastructure.
Right, but logistics don't mean shit if you don't have the product.
But we have the product. We don't need to
fight.
build it.
Not to fight a world war. We don't. No, we actually don't.
And to tag on to that, and I don't want.
How does that make any? Hold on. You can't. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Vic.
How many American millionaires would go to war right now if this jumped off? You're seeing Ukrainians jump in to defend their country. I think that you have a different level of pride in the United States. I don't think you're going to get people signing up like they did with 9/11.
No, you're not.
I get it. But I think we've gone to a point where there's so much dislike in the country because of politics, and we're so divisive that I think some of these things that we're saying right now, if you said it 5 years ago, they will sound stupid. And I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying they would sound stupid, right? You just said, Frank, that we don't have the things we need for a war at this moment.
Not a total war. No.
At this moment, the U.S. has more ships than China and Russia combined, and better ships. The thing, if you look at the the new aircraft that China has, the Stealth, right? That shit keeps leaning and falling. They don't, it's easy to steal and hack, like Vic said. They hacked, right? They went in and hacked a lot of the U.S. wasn't prepared for that, so they're very copy and paste trying to catch up.
Well, bigger than that. Let's talk economics. If China decided to call in USA's debt today,
sure. There will be an eagle flying over fucking Beijing. They will get a very big taste. They will get a very great taste of freedom.
And Gulag was kind of getting the same point. Beast asked a more
So to that point,
overall
right? I
question.
love that, and this is another thing that people keep talking shit that they don't like. China doesn't own all our debt. Most of our debt is to ourselves because we're stealing money from Social Security and stuff like that, right? We're taking money out that was supposed to be a Social Security and stuff like that. China doesn't have a piece of paper that says, "Yo, you owe me $30 trillion." Doesn't really work like that. They could own bad debt, which they do, and if they let it go, it will fuck our economy quite a lot. But at the same time, it will wreck their economy too. They're very into China. China didn't. You don't grow that fast to surpassing the European Union, surpassing Russia back in the day, and being almost, if not at the U.S. level, but not being smart. They're geniuses. But what they do is they make a lot of manufacturing, like Frank said, and they sell it because of the cheap labor at a cheaper prices all over the world. Their number one market is the US. The number two is the European Union. They're not stupid either. My thing is that, like, I haven't seen a single sign. They don't want the smoke. And I don't wanna sound stupid, but and I don't even really wanna go into China because we have a very good subject to talk about in terms of Ukraine, but they wouldn't get involved. And if they did get involved, who are the top 20 militaries in the world? Most of with the exception of Russia and China, the rest are in NATO. You know, you taking down the ability. The French have one of the most incredible militaries in the world. Me and Frank have spoken about that before. You're talking about the
Not only
UK.
that, but you got the Foreign Legion there too.
You have
Yeah.
so much. You know what I mean? Greece. Talk about little Greece, right? Greece has a phenomenal. We have Rafale planes. We have F-16s. The Vipers, right? We not just F-16s that have variations. We got the Block 70 Vipers, which is top of the line. We have a military. We have a navy. Turkey across the street, across the land. As much as I don't like them, there are 82 million people in Turkey, man. That's not a small army.
Let me ask you
You
something though.
know,
Bringing up
they
Turkey, do you think
yeah.
Turkey sides with Russia or is that with us?
I think they're very 50-50.
I
But
think they I
Why is
but
think
that
they
with
side with
ridiculous?
us,
Russia.
Are you betting on black or red?
no,
I mean,
because it's not, and I'll tell you why. Because they're more closer to Ukrainians because of the Tatars in Crimea, which they consider them Turks.
Yeah.
But they're also very smart into keeping Russia close. But so far, they've been 50-50. For example, they did close the Straits of the Black Sea, but they're very hesitant of joining the sanctions, right? uh Erdogan, as much as and honestly, if you guys know me, I'm very passionate. Like, I have issues with, they're literally threatening war every day on my country, right? So I don't have this love for Turkey, to be fair, but at the same time, Erdogan has been smart, has been very smart in terms of going for his country. He's like, look, I'm in NATO already, so I got that down. I could be friends with Russia as well.
Let me
can I
ask
make
you
a?
this. I have
I'm gonna let you ask your
hypothetical.
question. I want to just say something to the chat. I'm dropping a link tree. It's our link tree. But if you feel like support to Ukraine is something you'd like to do, Linktree's given the option for you to be able to donate funds and things like that. So I just want to share that with the chat. So for those who are here who may want to do something like that, they have the opportunity. Go ahead, Frank.
So yeah,
What I want to
go ahead
know
for sure.
I want to know your opinion, and I just want a percentage from you, right?
Right?
What do you think the percentage that another major country gets dragged into this?
Major country as sorry, my camera went. Major country as in what? Like, give me a because
Another
like if you're
major
talking
country
about
gets
NATO,
dragged into this.
like if you're talking about NATO, which is 20 something countries, yeah, I think
Sure.
that's gonna
I'm,
inevitably
I'm
happen.
just saying, I just think any country that we would not consider like a third world country, basically.
Oh, well, I think it's inevitable. I think NATO and the U.S. will get involved eventually. I don't see a way of us staying out of it.
Okay, so
What are the odds of North Korea maybe wanting to join the skirmish if it gets that big?
if it breaks down, North Korea is joining with Russia, 100%. I think right now, if this were to break out tomorrow, you'd have Russia, China, North Korea, and I think Turkey flips, right? Then you'll have Iran all on that side, basically as the majors. Then you'll have a bunch of little ones over there too. Um, and then I think you'll have England, France, Canada, U.S. Get the boys back together again, right? You'll have the Scandinavian countries because they're going to have to jump in because Russia's on their doorstep, right? Who are also bad motherfuckers when it comes to their special forces units. And the real question for me is India. I see India, especially if this. I mean, let's be real. If the last administration was still in office, this wouldn't be happening. But I don't know. India could either stay out of it or they would join our side, I think. But I don't know what they
So
would do.
their stance so far has been very confusing because they voted twice to abstain from the voting. But my thing is, India does India want to go with the other side? Because China's if you think China wants Taiwan, you have no idea how bad China wants to murk India. They've already killed soldiers in the borders. They have clashes all the time.
Yeah, they have
Wants,
in the mountains. Yeah,
yeah, China wants smoke. China really. To be fair, this is a crazy example too. And again, I don't want to go too far away
no,
from
we'll go
Ukraine.
back. This is just
China,
my yeah.
no, I'm with you, but that's a good pocket of finance. China wants to do to India what Russia's going to Ukraine, but they cannot because India is it's nuclear power.
Yeah, yeah. I think as far as like Ukraine goes, I mean, my heart. I'm twisted in both ways, right?
Yeah,
My heart says no. We go send them. Let's go. Right. That's what my heart says. 100%.
yeah.
But my brain is like, fuck. Like, send aid first. Like, do everything we can to physically stay out of the war. Right. Because I see this. I legitimately see this breaking down into a World War III. I give it about a 40% chance of doing that, which is higher than I would like to give it. I think 40.
So yeah, that's fine, but man, this is the problem. This is not gonna end there, right? You get what I'm saying? It's such a
Oh, it's not.
miscalculation. People are talking about, we don't want World War III, but it is what it is. Where do you draw the line? You don't draw it in Ukraine, which is, and another thing, man.
No, I agree with you. I agree with
This
you,
is the
though.
thing.
That's the
This is
thing.
the thing. Yeah, but this is the thing that also pisses me off quite a lot. Like, we dragged Ukraine to the Budapest Agreement, right? And they literally gave up their nuclear weapons in return for us, England and Russia, to guarantee their sovereignty. We haven't done that. We are obligated to help them out, right? Like that's a real treaty. That's not something I just made up. You go ahead and Google it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
But my thing is, where do you start? Where do you stop? When you say a red line, we can't you
That's
can't be scared of one madman. Like I hate it. I hate the fact that we're all scared of this clown. Like it's like, yo, you're one person. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah, but
you
with
can't.
access to a nuclear arsenal, bro, I get you. There should be no fear of one person, but this is a person who has a massive amount of power at his
Yo,
fingertips.
he shelled one of the biggest reactors yesterday, man. Like it might happen on its own. Like why are we gonna wait for it? Something bad is going to happen. Try
I
to
think that's what
avoid it.
he's doing.
Decapitate him. Decapitate his whole ability to. Dude, did you see the video? And I don't know if you could bring it up. With the day where he announced that he wanted to put his nuclear forces in deterrence, right?
Yeah.
But his two generals looked at him like, "Yo, this guy is fucking nuts." Go look at that video. It's actually eye-opening.
Do
You're
you
looking
have a
at the
Do you have a
generals.
name of it? Or can you send it to me real quick? Because I can bring it up.
Let me see. It's the video where he talks about putting his forces into nuclear deterrence. Let me see if I can find it.
All right, see if you can find that. Real quick to everybody that's here, to the 7 people that are watching, I want to thank you for coming through. Um,
There's
and
a
hanging
lot
out.
more
If you
people.
got
There's
any
some watch
questions,
parties too, so that's pretty cool.
for everybody that's here, just know we are with Ukraine. Like we are not sitting here.
100%.
We
I'm
don't
not.
believe
No.
that what's happening is
Putin.
correct. I just
Like,
want to make
fuck
that
Putin
clear.
hard.
We're having a debate to kind of have you guys just think, because like Nico's big point is read, learn what's going on. Don't just take the information you're getting on CNN or Fox or from Facebook. You can do this research on your own. I like to look at 3 or 4 things and then make my own opinion. That's what makes you, not an intelligent person, but someone who's attempting. Frank, word it better for me, because I know you can word that better for me than I can.
Just an open
Well,
mind. You can't get all your information from one spot because then you start looking at things in a skewed perspective. You want to get a better perspective on it, so you look at things from a different angle. Just like like if you go out, I'll do it this way. If you go out and play golf, you're not going to look at the hole from one aspect. You're going to look at it from multiple aspects to get the best lay of the land. And I think that this is what this is doing. I agree 100%. Like I'm with Ukraine. If
well,
you know
yeah.
I'm with Ukraine 100%. Like what Russia's doing is straight up fucking wrong, right? Like
My thing
honestly,
is
like
very
is
therapeutic.
Brian Pumper busy? Because there's a white bitch in Russia that needs to get fucked. You know what I mean? Like, like, but
Oh, that was a good one.
Nick, I got you. I'm getting it now.
my
But
thing is this though.
the problem with
This
that
is my
video, it's a
point.
little
This
long.
is what I look at.
Let me see if I can get you a picture.
Russia hasn't, or excuse me, Putin himself hasn't taken a loss in a long time, right? So, Nico, your opinion.
Yeah.
Do you think this is something that he's like, fuck it, it didn't work?
Oh, no way. No way.
So let me ask you this, right?
Yeah.
And we agree on that. So when it gets to the point where it's like, fuck, I'm losing, what does he do?
I don't know. And that's
That's the scary thing.
exactly that is exactly. Hold on, Vic.
I found the video. Yeah, I'm already pulling it up.
I'm gonna send you the image because the video is kind of long, but I cropped an image from it. I want you to see
Okay.
it. If you could post it if you could post it as well, I just sent you an image.
Well, I'm
Check
gonna
the
bring it
image.
up to the chat. The screen will be able to see it.
Okay, so that's my fear, dude. The guy can't take you can't take an L when you go bulls out like that. So now there's only 3 exits here. He gets assassinated. There's a coup in Russia, or he gets some fucking taste of freedom. There's no other way. Because Ukrainians are not gonna let he's not. I mean, unless he dies some other way. But they could conquer the land, but they
I
would
think
never be able to hold it.
I think with Putin it ends kind of similar. Either he goes to lose and he
Go to
starts
fucking
losing
bunker
and
die.
he Hitler bunkers himself, even though Hitler died in Argentina, but that's a whole nother conversation.
I know that. I'm with you on that one. You and I are agreement on that, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's either that, it's he keeps pushing and pushing, and then it's World War III, right? Or like he gets taken out. Like that's really it. That's really it. Those are the three options I feel like. Because even if like okay, so let's say the US and NATO get involved while they're still in Ukraine, I think his possibility of him hitting that little red button shoots way up. And whether his nuclear weapons are 40 years old, 60 years old, or 2 years old,
No. They have the largest nuclear arsenal. I'm not taking that away from him. I just think when he gives that order, right? When he gives that order to his generals, I think they will disobey him.
Nick, there goes your photo.
I hear you twice. I don't see it. Sorry.
you gotta click watch screen.
Oh yeah, got it. Yeah, this is when he tells them, and you can see their faces. They're like, "Yo, what the fuck is happening?" But this
Especially
is
my man on the right, bro.
right. And look, but check this out. This is what I'm talking about. A clown. They are literally almost 12 to 14 feet away from him because he's a coward. Because he's scared. He's scared of a fucking virus. He will not drop a nuclear bomb where he will be
So
involved too.
I disagree because when people fist fight, it's not the brave one that grabs the gun. It's the coward.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You want me to
I
play that
don't.
video?
But remember, I'm sorry?
Do you want me to play that video?
No, I mean, that was the point. That was the picture that I wanted to show. The video is too long. But my point here is that's the thing. They will refuse. They will refuse. Those two dudes that you just saw that are like, yo, what the fuck is happening? Because there was no threat to them, right?
Do we know the procedure for launch in Russia?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Here
Remember,
you have to.
yeah, the only thing to your point, not that I want to give you points to your point, but I'm gonna have to just to be fair. But to your point, the U.S. does not use tactical nuclear weapons, right? We use nuclear bombs if we need to annihilate you. The doctrine for the Russian army is that when shit gets hard, use tactical nuclear weapons. So it's a
Yeah.
little, I think it's a little easier to launch a nuke from Russia than it would be from the U.S.
Well, especially if you're doing a war in Europe, right? You're talking about with us, we'd have to use ICBMs to launch our nuclear arsenal from mainland.
Or fly a B-50, the stealth.
Yeah, I mean, we have submarines with nuclear weapons on them now too. We're just park that bitch in the black sea and say, "Here you go, motherfucker," right up your asshole. But
But I'm saying we've seen people. We, nuclear war, nuclear threat of war. In my opinion, it's been a stigma that we've used to keep the peace. We're like, yo, we can't wall the fuck out. There's nuclear weapons everywhere. Chill the fuck out. There's a lot of nuclear weapons out there, but you cross a line when you shell a fucking nuclear, plant. You know what I'm
no,
saying? Like,
that's I 100% agree.
so we don't have. That's my thing. Like, there's no real alternative. Like, you can't just be like, "All right, Vlad, my bad, dog. Can you just come the fuck down?" No, you saw what he said yesterday. He had a conversation with Macron, the French president, yesterday, and he literally told him, "I'm gonna take the whole entire fucking country. I'm gonna destroy everything." And Macron came out and said, to his quotes, Vic, maybe you can find it too. He said, "The worst is yet to come." That was his direct
Yeah,
quote.
I saw that. Yeah.
Right?
Do you guys
And
remember what
today,
Trump? Did you guys remember what Trump said to Putin?
I don't know, but which one?
Trump said to
Oh, he said
Putin,
about Moscow.
yeah, he goes, "I will melt your minarets in nuclear fire if you try some shit." And that's why he didn't do anything under Trump, because he saw a reflection of himself.
What does that say about Trump?
Okay, but here's the thing. But here's the other thing about Trump. Do you guys remember when it was within the first 100 days? I want to say it was within the first month. Trump dropped 40 tomahawks in Iraq because they decided to fuck with us.
In Syria.
No, it was Iraq,
Iraq, okay.
right? Do you know the whole story behind that?
Listen.
No, but you
Of
do. So,
No, hear me out.
Dr. Slapdick, MD, or PhD,
Uh,
PhD.
Dr. Slapdick.
Dr. Slapdick, please
Trump-
educate us.
Trump was having dinner with somebody at Mar-a-Lago, right, when this happened. And he was having dinner with Xi Jinping. And when Xi Jinping's advisor came over and told him, "Hey, the U.S. just launched a 40 missile strike and completely annihilated this airport off the face of the earth in Iraq," Trump just smiled at him.
It's like saying,
That is
I got 4 hookers ready for you, son, in the back.
a 100% true story, been verified.
It's a fucking
Right.
baller move.
It's
Okay.
showing you it's Trump flexing the muscle. What we don't have now is a politician or a president to flex that muscle, right?
Correct.
And that's
So-
why
so
we're
what-
seeing the
I
situation
thought
happening.
We were going to argue more today, right? Like, I came here ready to fight you, but we agreed. And I'll tell you one other thing. George W. Bush, right? Right? Good president. They took 2 parts of Georgia from Russia. Took 2 parts of Georgia.
During
Barack
the
Obama,
Olympics.
we had Crimea. Then Trump came, not an inch, and now we're losing it. A lot of
See, now you're
Democrats
making
will
it
tell you-
Democrat versus Republican.
No, 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 no,
acting
no.
like these
I don't
It's not
even
that,
wanna go
it's
there.
strength.
But
It's
that's not what I was
strength.
trying to do. What I was trying to do is also, for example, another fun story is that he gets on the phone with Kim Jong Un, and Kim Jong Un's like, "Yo, I have a red button." And he's like, "Yeah, but my red button is bigger, and it works." And since then, we never had a fucking. We were cool.
I'm still trying to
Oh,
find
He
that.
was a lunatic.
What I saw something the other day where it was like Trump literally stopped North Korea from launching by calling him Rocket Man and little guy on Twitter. Like, I don't care how you feel about Trump, he embodied that strength that we hadn't had in a long time.
The musical.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And it's like I feel
Yeah,
like
fuck
now
about
that
Sorry, we'll talk
What?
after the fact. We'll talk
Okay.
once this is done.
All right.
So this is so. What is your argument here? You agree with me, like you know what I'm saying? Like this wouldn't happen.
I don't like
not
here.
because
Here's
he's a great president, but because he didn't give a fuck. You had somebody in the White House who was like, "Son, I'm telling you to try me."
yeah. I'll
Like,
fuck you up.
know, like let's go. Son, I'm
To-
not, and I can, okay. People make fun of me this, but I'm being totally serious right now, right? And whoever laughs is getting beat up, but I'm telling you and seriously that my country does not spend $1 trillion almost a year, including the black ops, in the military, and we do not have fucking aliens in Area 51 in glass tubes for me to worry about some bitch ass dude in Russia. We're I, fam.
They're at Wright-Patterson, first off. They're not at Area 51. They're at Wright-Patterson or they're at
Leg
Area
room.
53.
Leg room. But that's my point. And by the way, you see another thing to make you calm down, right? Like, all right, this guy comes out, he's like, "Yo, son, I just thought, you know, in the Dave Chappelle voice, right? He looks like he's those generals. He's like, man, we're gonna go nuclear, you know." And then his two dudes are like, "This nigga's crazy." And then even with Biden's weak ass, the U.S. comes out and they're like, "Nah, son, we good with nuclear deterrence. Don't trip." And I'm like, all right then, let's fuck them up. You know what I'm saying? We didn't raise our levels. We didn't do shit.
I don't know.
We were like,
It's. I think the part where you and I disagree. I don't even want to say disagree. It's just we're looking at different aspects of the same problem or the different aspects of the same solution.
We're looking at the same potato.
So, someone is going to have to get involved eventually.
Yeah.
Because if Ukraine falls, it's a big domino. It's a
Yeah.
huge domino. You know, and that puts. I mean, what's if Ukraine falls? What's stopping him from pushing into Latvia? What's stopping him from pushing into Moldova?
well, Latvia is NATO, Moldova isn't. So if he goes into
So,
NATO,
who gives a fuck though? I mean, clearly, Ukraine. We signed that deal to protect Ukraine.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck at that point? You know what I mean? That's my point. But at the same time, if we do push in, right, NATO, US, however you want to look at it, you're opening the door to them saying, "All right, cool, motherfucker, it's on. Let me get Xi Jinping on the phone."
I don't worry about China. That's a non-realistic fear for me.
I think you need to worry about China, bro.
I don't need to worry about China. There's nothing China has ever done to make me fear.
You need to go back and watch Red Dawn, motherfucker.
I don't need to watch shit. 15 fucking sumo wrestlers control China for thousands of years. I'm
Oh,
straight.
so this is
fam.
wait, time out.
That's
Point
Japan.
of rotation moment of history. So you don't know maps either because the Samoan last night didn't understand that there's a difference between Japanese and Samoans and sumo wrestlers, and then Gus, we're not
What I
even gonna
was
get in
making a
Mexico,
joke
and then
was
this
that
motherfucker
China-
says Cinder Daddy Chihuahua.
I know my maps very well, and for a long time, the Japanese Empire controlled most of China, so that's a fact.
Talking Chinese, you know what? We're gonna let that one go. Frank, I see that face. We're gonna let that go. We're at just over an hour. How we feeling?
So
Do you
bef-
want to keep going for a little longer?
We're feeling
or-
good. I think the conversation is good, but I
No,
think we
some
got a
people
little
working
off
in the morning.
topic.
I mean, I'm trying to be respectful.
And nobody working, bro. We're good.
I gotta work, motherfucker. Yeah, I'm working.
Oh,
I work
I'm
exclusively
sorry,
weekends,
Tonight
my
for
man.
you.
Yeah, I jumped in here just for you tonight.
You're like, fuck that guy. I can't wait to debate. No, I
Man,
think,
you
I
were
think it's
late.
been a very good.
Man, you were late, motherfucker.
No, bro, I owe you Greek food. Okay, we'll go back out to Mama's.
Deal.
Deal.
Ooh, on that, I was told that we need to go to Hellas. Like, don't let all the props and the neon lights fool you. Like, I was told Hellas is actually better than Mama's, but somebody lived in.
I went
Tarpon
to
for 3
another.
years.
There's one across the street. I think it's called Dimitrios. That's on the water. The food is not as great, but the ambience is so fire. Like I would go there.
All right, I got a math question for you because people on our channel have trouble with math. You said $1 trillion your country spends. How many euros is that? How many
How many
euros are
what?
sold? How many euros are sold to get $1 trillion to spend a year?
I mean,
I have to bring a little levity into the stream, guys, because we do
Probably
we are a
10
comedy
trillion?
channel. 10 trillion. Yeah, that's about right. $3 a
I
kilo.
wish
That's
this
good.
is the
That's
time.
actually
I have
better.
I have a Ukrainian friend. Like he's like my brother, man. I love that guy to death. But
He
it's
is your
funny you
brother.
said
Fuck,
that
he's
'cause
like your brother.
Yeah, that nigga's like family to me. But he's not like family. He is family. He's my brother. I
That's
love
what
him
I'm
to
trying to
death. You know,
say.
like
I'm not making that point for you.
yeah. Like everybody knows. I don't hide. Like I feel like I'm hiding him as a side chick. That's my boy. I love that guy. But you know what's funny? I laugh because
What was that?
every Ukrainian I know is a fucking engineer, and it's really annoying how good they are in math. So we'll be doing something, and it will be like, it'll be a funny joke, like you just said, like, yo, how many gyros? And I'll say something like 10 trillion, right? And he'll be like, are you fucking stupid? And he'll give me the answer, and I'm like, yo, this is not where this goes. He's an engineer. He's like a super senior PM in like projects and stuff. So his math is always on point, and it's like annoying, right? It's like always. I can't have a conversation if the conversation involves any type of numbers. You lost.
So he's another Frank.
Oh my god, bro.
There's no
He's just,
passion. He's
but
arguing from a point of fact.
like he's just yeah, and they're cold blooded, man. Ukrainians are cold blooded. He's the same. He cannot look in your face and be compassionate, right? Like he's not gonna be like, I understand how you feel. He'll be like, well, the way you feel is stupid because this is the factual reason behind it, and you're a fucking moron. And I'm like, bro, you gotta be a little more mellow. He's like, what for? Life is life. Tell the truth. And I'm like, all right, that's why you guys are kicking Russian ass, and we're not. You know what I mean? Like, props to you, man. But to the point that I wanted to make is that here's my issue that and I take we have no credibility as a country, right? The Europeans in America has been trying to cuddle Ukraine for a long time. We have, and then once we did, and shit got real, we were like, you on your own, fam. I mean, we'll give you some javelins and shit, but that's about it. So that's where my issue
All
is.
the javelins, chill. we we gave them all the javelins. Did you see the fortune teller meme? Have you seen that?
No, put
No,
it
but I
up.
have the one that Rob shared. Hold on. Let me bring this up. I'll share this with everybody on stream. This was actually really good. How do I do this?
Oh,
I'm still learning.
oh, you
guys. I'm
put
still learning.
the Macron one. I just saw that. I'm sorry. Yeah, dude, it's gonna get worse. But the thing is, I just don't feel like Ukraine should pay for it, man. Thou shall get fact. Say, oh, I love that one. I love what.
Yeah. I'm a protector of Ukraine. That's funny.
Yo, I actually think, and you could call me crazy, and I would like to do a follow up. They right now the biggest major city that Ukraine has lost is Kherson, however you say it.
Yeah.
And that's the one. I really think in about 5 days, these fucking lunatics are gonna launch a counteroffensive, and they're gonna try to take that city back. I have a feeling that they're just going to do. I think they lost it strategically. The thing is, it doesn't matter. We have this conversation. It's great. We change views and opinion. But what doesn't stop is the fact that our children are dying, hospitals are being bombed. This is a very indiscriminate bombing campaign. Today, right before I got on, I just opened my eyes and I looked. I was watching something on CNN, and the senior U.S. official said that they're going to bomb cities into submission. Their world needs to step up. There's so much carnage, and it sucks because they were not provoked. Ukraine didn't do shit. They tried really hard not to get baited in, and now we have a country getting
Oh,
obliterated.
let me propose something to you, right? By the way, that thing I
Yes.
just put in the Hey Let's chat, that is
Yeah, I'm
tattoo
grabbing it.
worthy.
Yeah, I'm
That
grabbing
is
that right
fucking
now in the
tattoo
chat.
worthy. If we end up getting dragged into this and I have to go fight, that is the patch that I want.
Oh
Um,
yeah, Vic,
Yeah, I'm
please
bringing
post
it up.
that.
I'm bringing it up.
Please post that. Yeah, I
that is
might
the
go
patch.
get that tattoo.
That is the patch that I want.
Yo, okay, so Frank, I need you to do some research, and I would like for us to come back. I don't know if you read into this. Do you know that a major part of this war is the Christian religion? Do you know that one of the biggest beef between those two countries is Christianity? One thing I didn't know this. I just
Between
learned
the
this
Russian and
recently.
Ukrainian Orthodox Church.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's even worse. Did you know? I didn't know this. This is why Turkey is kind of with Russia because when Turkey turned Saint Sophia, Hagia Sophia, into a mosque, right?
Yeah.
Everybody said that that's it. Like Russia's gonna wall out because remember they gave us Vladimir as the protector of the Christians,
Yeah.
Orthodox Christians. But I didn't know this. The reason why they didn't complain is because the Russians believe that the archdiocese, whatever the right word is, should
Archdiocese,
be
yeah.
yeah, it should be in Moscow and not in Istanbul, which is Constantinople for us, right? And that's the
Yeah.
most asinine thing I've ever heard. And then when the Ukrainian church separated from the Russian church, there is some, and I'm not talking conspiracy because I know when we get to conspiracy, there's more. But there's like articles I came across that the Russian church is sabotaging African churches because they don't want Greek and Ukrainian churches to go in there. They want to have control. So that is crazy to me. I didn't know. I just brought it up because I thought it was kind of something
That's one
crazy
of the
to think
reasons why
about.
Mussolini. Why do you think Mussolini chose Ethiopia?
Facts.
The Ethiopian church is one of the oldest of all time. It has direct ties to King Solomon.
Yep.
And Mussolini was not feeling that being a Roman Catholic.
And that's history.
Yeah.
You can look that up, guys. If you're watching, you can look
Yeah.
that up.
That's
We're starting to drop some viewers, so it's getting a little late. But I'm down to do this again. A good friend
Yeah.
of mine who I want to kind of get us into, he has feelings on what's going on, and he's, and as a POC, his beef is that he's seeing Africans, African students in Ukraine who are trying to get out being denied the ability to escape
Well,
May I
Ukraine
address that?
Ukrainians are.
May I address that though, real quick?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble for this, but
I have a follow up addressee to that. Go ahead.
okay. So at the beginning, of this situation, because what your friend is saying is 100% true. We've seen it in cameras, right? But the beginning, those people of color, um, POCs, right? People of color. That's a horrible thing. I'm sorry. I'm tired. But the
But it's a fact.
POC.
I mean, it's the word that's used.
Yeah, yeah, no, but they were the first trains that left were only women and children.
Yes.
So they got it, right? So a lot of the males stay behind, but there was a big fuss about it. Now this country's getting bombed to shits, so they didn't care about it. What I want to say though is I give props to I think it's their foreign minister Kuleba. Is that his name, Kuleba? If I'm not mistaken, the Ukrainian foreign
I believe
minister.
so, yeah.
And I think we really need to address this because I don't want this to reflect negative because during his Twitter, and I would like everybody to go to Twitter. Actually, Vic, if you don't mind, I would
No,
like to
I
send
got
you
it.
this real quick
No,
because I
I'll go
want
to
you to
Twitter. Just
post
tell me
this
who to
real
check.
quick.
I'll send it to WhatsApp. You
Yeah,
can
hold
post it.
on. All right, I'm gonna pull up a tweet, and I thought this tweet was really important. Um, Hold on, I'm trying to find it.
While you're finding that, to everybody that's watching and sticking with us, we want to kind of do this maybe once a week where we talk something serious because we're a channel for fun and everything else, but we should be talking about things that are giving people a
Current
lifeline
events.
and current events and things like that. So we are gonna figure out a night to do this. We'll definitely put it out there on social. If you're not following, not looking for followers for the sole fact of wanting numbers. I just want you guys to know that we're here to try to give you a different perspective and just discuss. Because at the end of this conversation, we're all gonna have a drink and probably talk smack to each other and joke around.
Or
Because-
dicks.
So,
That's OnlyFans.
so I'm trying really hard to find that. I gotta find his stuff. But he posted a tweet where he said, "In Ukraine, our citizens of color that are here to study or work are as important as everybody else. We will not accept them not being helped." Right? He said something to that thing. If we find the Vic, I'll post it. But my thing is after that, and this is from CNN, so take it as you like. I think they've done a little better coverage than Fox News, but I think
Shimael?
what happened here with, huh?
Sorry, Ukrainian Prime Minister Shimael.
No, it wasn't. It's Kuleba. That's his name. He's the foreign minister, I
Yeah,
believe.
well,
So
all
he
the prime minister
said
got
he
you.
said that, but right now they're legitimately open corridors and specialized trains for foreigners and people of color to move out of the country. Was it a mistake at one point? I'm sure it was. Um,
I
you know,
think
the country.
I'm gonna butt in here.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, and just correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah, but it's
uh,
something crazy. You're about to say
Didn't
something crazy, dude. I can see it in your eyes.
no, not even. Didn't Zelensky say men between the ages of 18 to 60 need to stay and fucking fight?
Okay, yes. So this is the confusion. This is exactly where the confusion happened, and I'm gonna tell you. And this is why I love Ukraine because they fixed it. Men who are of Ukrainian descent, yes. These there's a lot of African natives that go to Ukraine for school. They were not allowed to go in specific buses and trains. They were not. That we know for sure. But what happened was originally is because they were male, and then because of racism, Ukraine
Yeah.
immediately addressed it during these bombardments that are getting wrecked, right? Because they're getting wrecked right now. Their foreign minister came out and said, "This is unacceptable to us, and we will fix it," and they did.
It seemed
So
like it was a
I give them
problem
props.
with the lower ranks, and the upper ranks went and fixed
Yeah,
it. From what you're
yeah, yeah.
telling me,
Of course,
yeah,
but let's just be realistic.
shitty that it happened, but
Super shitty. But at the same time, I have a little. like you get rid of the women first and the kids, right? Like I get it,
I mean,
but you
to
should
be
never
honest,
discriminate.
the motherfuckers are lucky I'm not in charge. I'm like, cool, you're here going to school. Here's a rifle. Get your ass back over there.
That's my point.
That's
I
my
found
perspective.
I found a tweet where Kuleba, we have established an emergency hotline for African, Asian, and other students
Yes.
wishing to leave Ukraine because of Russia's invasion. That's up on stream right now.
Yes, I
So
see that.
my thing is they did address it. This is yeah, and actually from what I saw today on CNN was that they're able to there's now direct ways to get them out unless the Russians have a blockade. But yeah, it was a shitty thing to do. Don't get me wrong. It was super awful. But you're talking in a war zone. There's always gonna be these idiots that do these things. But thank God people are out now. They're leaving. They saw a mistake, and I would really hate for them to be judged for something that they went out of their way to fix.
Well, my judgment wasn't on the Ukrainians. My judgment was on the surrounding countries not letting people into the country. People who got to
It
the border
wasn't
not
really
being able to
like
go
that, Vic.
across.
It was
I'm just
very
telling you,
yeah.
I haven't had a discussion with him. Just what I saw him kind of post.
No, no,
Um,
and he's very right. Just so we clear, he's very right to feel that way. Obviously, that's something he saw on the TV, and it's dramatic, especially if you're a person of color. You're like, yeah, what the fuck, man? Even in Ukraine, would get treated like shit. I get it. That's not. I just wanted to go and be like, yes, it happened. It was most of it in the border side of Ukraine because they didn't want to let men out. They were, but at the same time, during a war, they found this hotline, and I know a ton of people who I've seen a ton of people who were able to leave, and CNN, who's not a very, it's a very
I'm
liberal
shocked you were
station,
watching CNN. Like the world really is ending when you start watching CNN.
but I gotta tell you, I don't want to get into this right now. Like I just want to make a statement and just walk
Yeah,
away. But I don't want to get into it because it's already late. But I think I have never felt more disgraceful than watching Fox News coverage of this war. I'm gonna tell you two things that drove me through the wall. One, General Keane was on it, and this motherfucker looked at I don't know who was the presenter. He was like, "Man, you look at that Russian force. They're just so fit and so good looking, and their Ukrainians stand no chance." And I'm like, "Bro, like go rub one out on your own. You live on air. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
you a
stop with the
pedo
love."
because they 60-year-olds.
And honestly, when Tucker Carlson said
Oh,
that
we maybe.
I'm openly taking Putin's side and then he came out and apologized later because he said he was just trying to be anti-Biden. I don't respect that shit. So
No,
that was my
no,
beef.
that was a boneheaded fucking comment from Tucker. To be honest,
Really boneheaded, but he did make it though. And you know what? The most Americans watch Tucker than anybody else.
Can I
And if you
can I ask? Go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead. No, it's fine.
No, I was gonna ask you guys to just kind of hands up. This is a new thing we're doing. Just a quick question: should people look outside of the American news machine? Go to Sky
100%.
News.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh my
check out
God.
some of the sites
100%.
that are
Of course.
available on YouTube that you don't know are available to on YouTube. There are other news outlets that don't have American interests and are trying to sell you shit through commercials that may give you a different perspective of what's going on.
Okay, but
100%.
contextualize, right? You should always do what you just
To what
said. You
effect?
should never just focus in the U.S. But remember, there's everybody has a purpose. I would say right now in situations like that, watch an hour of Fox News, an hour of CNN, an hour of BBC, and then go online and then just
And then
look
spend
at
an hour
what's the
reading.
least outrageous
Yep.
outcome. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
just be like, what's the least? I can't sit there like yes, we all know that the elite play these fucking games, but like Fox News has been through the roof with this shit. Like you know what I mean? Like I felt like the invasion of Ukraine was just like an invasion on Trump, and they're just gone ballistic. And I get it, but at the same time, there's real people dying in real time. So I didn't want to hear that. So you know what I mean? Like so, and I just yeah, it sucks. But
Fair
to
enough.
your friend's point, it's really important to me if I could clarify that because I love Ukraine. I do. I've spent time there. One of the first trips with my wife was in Ukraine. We had an amazing time. I'll share some photos. It was just, it's just they're amazing people. They have great culture, but they want to be European, right? They want to be European. They are European. That's their whole doctrine. They're European. They don't want to be Russian. So at the same time, like it hurts me quite a lot to see that we embraced them, and then we just left them out to dry. I think
I can agree
I
with that, though.
I think that they're modern day warriors. I haven't seen fighting spirit like that in a long time. I
Yep.
say it from the bottom of my heart, like that's why they greet each other, right? Slava Ukraina, which means glory to Ukraine. Yaroslav Slava, which means glory to its heroes. But I don't see this turning out well for Russia. What hurts me is that this is going while is going to eventually get an ass whooping somehow. Ukrainian right now is going to get leveled. The
I
rebuilding of that
100% agree
country.
with you.
The rebuilding of that country is going to be a nightmare. And in the morning I was talking to my friend on the phone, my friend Oksana, and you could tell, man, she was just like, I was talking to her in the afternoon too. We spoke to her twice today, and then on the afternoon, you could tell like she was kind of breaking down. She was like, "The fuck I'm supposed to do? Like my mom is there, my grandma, and I hope she doesn't get mad for me putting out her business, but her grandma's disabled. They can't take the grandma down to the shelters, right? Like they can't because she can't move. Um, her mom could leave, right? Her mom has papers because she's here. She could leave and come here, but she's not gonna leave her mom. Her dad is a very well known businessman in Ukraine. I mean, he has a very good job. So they're asking him to go back to Kiev. It's rough. Like she's waking up every day hoping to pick up the phone and through Viber call her mom and her mom is okay. Calling her dad and making sure he's okay. You know what I mean? You and I were. I'm just bothered, right? Like I'm like this shouldn't be happening in the world. I don't know what she's going through. I don't know how she feels. She's chuckling, and I've told him I'm like, come visit me, spend a little time here, trying to get your mind off things. Hopefully they come out to hang out a little bit. We always hang out, but that's what we that's where my bother happens. Like that's where I'm so upset. It's like it's not only her. I just know of her, but how many people in the morning and for nothing. And this is where I feel like we've seen this picture play out before, and I just don't. If I knew for certain that this is where Putin ends, right? Like if I knew that this was Ukraine, I'd be like, all right, let's keep giving him weapons, let's stay out of it, let them handle it. It will not happen. And then oh, what a kitty! When he enters into a NATO country and we eventually go to war, and we lost Ukraine for nothing. So that's my closing argument.
Hey,
Right.
Uncle Vic. Hey, Uncle Nico.
Hi, beautiful.
Look, it's a ducky.
Is that a duck? Is that Donald?
Yeah.
Duck, yeah. Good night, sweetheart. Good night, Haitian princess.
Fred,
Sorry.
I'm gonna ask you.
Uh-oh.
Actually, you know what? I'll take my final point here. I hope I'm wrong about Putin being the maniac that I think he is, because I think when it's all said and done, if it's a scenario where it's my life and it's done as it is, then why I'm not gonna just cause havoc and reset the fucking world. I think he's the Joker of politicians. He's a man that would see the world burn. I pray it doesn't come to that. Again, we're gonna put the link tree in the chat right there. And if you don't want to donate to that, because I don't know where it all goes, but just do some research. If you feel you want to jump in and maybe provide some financial aid to people that are really suffering, talk to me.
I'm sorry. To your point right now, guys, the Ukraine official Twitter account posted their official Twitter account. Don't be stupid. Make sure it's verified.
I'll look for the blue
They
check.
post-
Some guys don't know how Twitter works.
Yeah, they put the Ethereum and their Bitcoin wallets, and I want to say thank you because a lot of people have donated. So Ukraine today announced that they just received 15 million worth of bulletproof vests that they purchased from that fund. So we know exactly where the money goes. It's 100% for Ukraine. So if you want to help down,
If you could get me a link, we'll drop that on
Yes.
the link tree.
Okay,
So
let me
people
look
can
for
get to
them
that.
while you guys talk.
I'm gonna share it and ask you to confirm this is the official page. Blah blah blah. While I'm doing that, Frank, I'm gonna let you, as Dr. Slapdick.
Dr. Doc.
Yeah, I like the
MD.
MD or PhD.
And D&D. Um,
I'm pulling it up right now.
all right. So this, of course, is a horrible situation that's going on in our world. This is not the world that I want to bring my daughter into. This is not the world that any parent wants to bring their child into. But people, we as a human race are beautiful. We do great things, but we are horrible at the same time. Greed and the other 7 deadly sins, I guess, can all play a factor into it. What we're seeing right now is a man who won't let go of the past and who's trying to rebuild what was once his history, and other people are paying for it with their blood, when most people just want to live in harmony. Most people just want to kind of do their own thing and live and let live. And what we're seeing now is what happens with the opposite of that. I hope this doesn't break down into a larger conflict, but honestly, I see it as inevitable that it is going to break down into a larger conflict. And I think,
I'm sorry, Vic, I sent it to you. I apologize. Finish up. I just
Okay.
wanted you to know I sent it to you. Yeah. Sorry, Frank.
you're good. I see it as inevitable, as something that's going to break down into a larger conflict. I hope that cooler heads prevail, but I don't see it happening. For the people in Ukraine, if we still have our Ukrainian viewers, my heart is with you. My spirit is with you. Keep fighting the fight. You guys know boxing, so be Buster Douglas again in this situation. You guys are fighting Mike Tyson. Just keep swinging for the fences, take your hits, stick and move, and hit back. My heart is with you guys. It really, really is. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it because I've been in situations. We won't get into that, but I know the horrors that you guys are facing. And all I can say is stay strong, keep fighting, because what you're fighting for is the right. You guys are fighting for what is right, and history will view it as that as well.
Yep.
Nick, you said that's 100% is going towards everything, correct?
Yeah, they're being honest with you. This is going straight to the Ukrainian military and refueling for the country. Yes. I have actually donated to this personally.
Okay, so I'm gonna name it Ukrainian crypto 100%. How would you like me to word it on Linktree? Because I'm gonna literally add it right now and drop the Linktree so people can do that if they want.
Just-
Do
just-
verified donation for Ukraine.
That's it.
Donation.
Come on, Frank. Give me a Slava Ukraini.
Ukraine.
Glory to Ukraine, man.
Yeah, you gotta teach
Yeah.
me how to say that.
Slava
Slava
Ukraini.
Ukraini. Slava Ukraini. How did I do?
Some Slava. You did fantastic.
Alright. Well, I mean, I got Galacta Burukos. Galacta Buricos, so if I can get that, I can get
Galacta Buricos.
anything. That's up.
They're
I'm gonna
just they're
drop
just
this
great
link tree
people.
for you guys right now.
Thanks, Vic.
Done. No problem, brother. Thank you for coming on and having this conversation. You know, I mean, we really want to be, you know, for fun, but we also want to, you know, address what's going on because we all have children that are going to grow up in this world. So if even this contributes a 0.001% to change in people's mindsets, that's what we're here for.
I have a message for Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, okay, tell him we're coming
Fuck
for him.
you.
My message to Putin is this, and I know the likelihood of him seeing this is very slim. Be careful what your next move is, because your next move is critical. And the reason why it's critical is this. You keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Eventually, you're going to wake up the real bear of the world. We are battle tested in this country. We have guys who are itching to get into it and guys who are very, very good at their jobs.
Very good.
And
very good.
You're going to end up pissing off a lot of people who you don't want to. It's not the guys waving around saying, "Oh, I'd go to war with this, I'd go to war with this." It's the guys that are already counting their ammo. It's the guys who are already making sure their weapons are ready. It's the guys. I'm not going to name drop. I was going to name drop, but there's guys that you should be scared about who, when they get together,
That's on the way there right now to support.
There's a lot of those guys that were in Afghanistan when we pulled out of Afghanistan, and they went there. They jumped on a plane and they were there within 18 hours. There's guys who you don't want to fuck with, and they're here. And that's the wrath that you're going to have. You're going to have a bunch of these motherfuckers who are like, fuck it, let's go. In your military, from what I'm seeing, you're not ready for it. And the only other option you have is to set back the human clock. And it's do you really want that against your feather?
Even beyond that, I would appeal to him as a father and say, you have a daughter. I don't know the relationship you have with her, but she's going to have kids. Beyond your legacy, what world are you leaving for the next generation of Putins? So I'm not making a judgment on you. I'm just saying, think about if you really have a shred of humanity. I had a conversation with my kid yesterday, one of my kids, and they said to me, I can't tell you I love you unconditionally or more than anything else. And I said, once you're responsible for another life, your mindset will change on that. It's okay for you to love me like you love your mom, your dad, your sisters. That's what I'm okay with being grouped into that. But when you're responsible for a life, you feel different. So I'm going to appeal to that humanity. And again, the odds of him seeing this is super slim to none. But there are people, I assume you have someone you care about. Khaleesi says she wishes you had a wife because she'd talk you out of this bullshit. But, straight up, she's like, he needs a fucking hug and a swift kick in the ass, just like our wives kick us in the ass when
the only thing I disagree is my man Putin don't need no wife. He's the king of Russia. He's doing all right.
On that note, I'm gonna let that be our wrap up. This is a nice Hellas chat. We'll let you guys know when we're doing
one
this
thing.
Yeah, of course, go ahead.
I'm gonna let you close last, but I want to make
let you finish.
Yeah, but first, let me say one more thing. There's no excuse for Russian soldiers obeying these orders. Saying it was an order was an excuse for the Germans, and it didn't go down well. But I'll say one other thing, okay? And this is where I'm gonna get in a little bit of trouble. I'm losing a lot of respect for Russian people. It's 144 million of them, and it's one fucking idiot in the Kremlin. He cannot arrest them all. There is time, and now is the time to show the world what Russians are made of. I've heard stories from my grandpa. I've heard stories from people about the Russian bear, about how proud they are, what proud people they are, how hardworking they are, how ironclad we are. We heard about the Iron Curtain over Europe. Show it to us, right? Yep. Putin is not going to change his mind because he's a fucking pussy. He's a little man with little man syndrome, all right? He's never going to change. What needs to change is I want to see people in the streets in Russia. And I want to see the government get toppled. Because that moment that happens, Ukraine will sit down with them. They'll figure out something. We gotta stop the war, drop in some money, rebuild the country, and start living in a good world. Russia could be a big player in a huge player in the world. The problem with Russia is they're using their money for the oligarchs, and their army's suffering right now. You could see the military is not built for that. They're not built for what they think they are. You people wanna be scared of their military, fine. But I have eyes and I see what's happening. So my thing, and I wanted to make an appeal, is that saying that I was following orders is not an excuse. If you're in the military, drop your weapons, right? The Ukrainians have welcomed you. They'll give you food, and it's time to topple that regime. Okay, his 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 two top generals don't like the dude. You could see in that fucking picture. It's time for regime change in Russia. You could go away on your own, go fucking kill yourself if you need to, take all the money and walk away and go fucking live in an island with a bunch of women. I don't know what you do. Just get the fuck out of the way and let peace prevail. Because if not, you're about to catch some freedom, son.
I think I think the Russian people should go back and have a sit down and chat with the French people and find out what they do to kings in their country.
My final point is going to be the asshole in.
I like that
I'm gonna
one.
appeal to
That's how I'm gonna
Europeans
be
the
fired.
best way
I want
know
to
how
fight the
appeal
nigga
to
out.
Europeans. There's a World Cup in 7 months. You're not going to be able to play. You're not going to see your people's glory. If you topple Putin, they will let you back in. FIFA wants you to play. They tried their hardest. They would let you play under the
tried.
Federation of Russia, but you couldn't play the anthem. Topple them, you will win the World Cup this year. I will wear a Russian jersey if you overthrow that fucker for the entirety of the World Cup. Rotation TV will support the Russian national team to win the World Cup if you topple that fucker. So I'm appealing to you.
If if Putin is out, I'll take both of you to Moscow. On me.
Done. And then we're going to Dubai for the World Cup to watch Russia win.
Yeah.
But for right now,
They do
Slava
that. They
Ukraine.
deserve it. There's some Slava.
Venezuela Slava.
Fellas,
It's wonderful, guys.
To their
I'm with
heroes.
you guys. To the heroes. I don't have anything in this cup, but I have water in this cup. I'm sorry I'm drinking water, but thank you for providing water to the Russian 17-year-olds and letting them call their moms. And letting them face the wrath of their parent who's telling them you shouldn't be in this fucking war.
bro, can you imagine the chocolata beating some of these kids are about to get when they get home?
I told my kid yesterday, if I got captured, and in a war that my parent didn't want me in, and then I had to call home, yo, just take me down. I don't have to talk to my mom for that. Fuck. And you giving me a sandwich and some tea? Yo, Ukrainians are a different breed, man. Slava
Yo,
Ukraine.
I did not. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Giving
It's
them
that,
food and drink and making them call
I've
their
been
mom.
saying this all week and I'm gonna keep saying it. Kiev was founded by Vikings. It's that Ukrainian Viking DNA, bro.
Fact.
Yeah, so I said that to one of my friends that's your theory. And
Uh.
he started laughing. I think he really liked it.
Yeah, man.
And the reason why I think he liked it is because they don't want to do anything. They're very similar to the Russians, but they don't want anything to do with them. So the fact that I was like, yo, you guys might not be very like Eastern European. You might be Vikings. It was kind of like, bet, I'll take
No,
it.
it's serious. I'm dead serious too. If you look at it, so
People
the Vikings used to raid Russia, the Rus. That's where they got the name Rus. The Vikings called them the Rus, and they went down and they founded Kiev.
That's awesome. That is
Yeah.
one of the
Wow, Russia.
coolest shit I've ever heard in my life. I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, looking into it, man.
Actually,
It's
let's get
legit.
If
Frank,
there's
do
any,
some
if
research
there's
on that
any
one for the
truth
next
to
one of
that,
these.
I'll make. What happened?
This fact, no. Historical point. There's truth to it. If Frank says it, there's truth to it.
Yeah, me and
I-
Frank don't disagree on a lot of things, and he drops
There's
shit that
truth to it.
I'm
If he-
aware of sometimes.
Frank
and I
doesn't
think
say
I
anything
respect
he has
him.
not doubled or triple checked. I told wifey today,
That's why he loves me.
I'm jealous in him. I'm jealous of him, and I hate him just a little bit because he's smarter than me, and I don't like to admit that.
Oh man, look at his face. He has a very hate me face. I look at him all the time. I just want to punch him in the mouth, but I just love him. I don't know. He's just something about Frank. I just love the guy.
All right. To everybody who
Although,
tuned in,
although
okay.
I was gonna say, although sometimes he drops these like conspiracy theories that I'm aware of, and then I'll be like, "Yo, I know what that is," and then I know inside he's like, "I love that guy," but he won't admit it in public. He loves me.
I do, man. You do. I do.
He's very proud of me.
Yo, we're here last. We're a part of Rotation TV. There's a link tree there. There's 100% guaranteed your donation to go to help Ukraine. We're gonna do this again. I thank you guys for tuning in and also understanding that this is just what good friends do. They have an honest conversation to to help each other grow, because iron sharpens irons, as the Christian Bible says. And we're not a Christian channel, but beyond that.
The Bible also talks about unicorns, so
And we waiting
You
for
trying
the
to
verse.
get fucked up by a 9-year-old? Say something about unicorns in front of my daughter. I dare
And
you.
the there's a version of the Bible where Jesus is well hung and has an 8-pack, but we'll deal with that
Yes.
on Thursday night rotation. For everybody here, thank you for tuning in. For our Ukrainians, one last time, Nico, I'm gonna let you do it.
Slava Ukraine.
To the heroes.
take it.
Yeah,
You take it, buddy.
That was
Yeah,
you,
I was-
bro.
I was-
I set
I was-
you up.
I say
And then I
something,
come
you
in
think?
English
There's some Slava.
for the heroes.
Have a good night,
There
everybody.
you
We'll
go.
see you soon.
Have a good night, bud.